Trump and the Maladie de Grandeurs. The rise of a narcissistic sovereign, Donald Trump is not an accident of politics. He is its grotesque conclusion, an inevitable product of a society that confuses wealth with wisdom, fame with greatness, and arrogance with strength. From the gilded penthouse of his childhood to the Oval Office, Trump has followed a single, unwavering principle. Power belongs to those who can manufacture the illusion of it. His journey begins not in the boardrooms of Manhattan or on the campaign trail, but in the authoritarian household of Fred Trump, a ruthless New York real estate mogul who taught his son that weakness was death and life was war. Trump grew up in a Darwinian microcosm where empathy was mocked, competition was survival, and people existed only to be used. He learned early to mimic confidence, suppress doubt, and treat human relationships as transactions, not bonds. By the time he entered adulthood, Trump had already formed the essential habits of his later rule: bullying, bluffing, blaming, and branding. His business career, built on debt, media manipulation, and shameless self-promotion, was less a story of entrepreneurship and more a performance of dominance. Bankruptcy became a strategy. Lawsuits were weapons. Truth was negotiable. What many mistook for recklessness was, in fact, a refined tactic: test the limits of the system, break norms, and exploit every weakness in institutions too polite to stop him. Like a chess player who knows the opponent will never knock over the board, Trump kept pushing, because the game was always rigged in favor of boldness over decency. By the time Trump descended the golden escalator in 2015, he had already mastered the art of weaponizing grievance. He did not invent populism, he merely gave it a showman's flair. He sensed that a large segment of the American public had lost faith in the establishment, and he exploited that cynicism with surgical precision. Every insult, every provocation, every lie, each was a calculated move to test how far the boundaries of acceptable behavior could be stretched without consequence. Trump's Maladie de Grandeurs, his delusional self-belief in his infallibility, was not merely a personality quirk, it was his governing style. He ruled not through policy, but through spectacle and loyalty tests. Cabinet members were not chosen for competence, but for their willingness to praise and obey. Allies were discarded like campaign slogans the moment they became inconvenient. Betrayal was not a failure to him. It was a feature of the game. No one is permanent in Trump's world except Trump. He surrounded himself with sycophants, grifters, and opportunists who echoed his delusions back to him. And for every scandal or outrage, he doubled down, instinctively knowing that in a media-saturated society, attention is power and repetition makes lies feel true. Trump's genius, if we are to call it that, lay in his understanding that modern politics is not about governance but about narrative control. He branded himself as the anti-establishment crusader, while quietly signing bills that served the very elites he claimed to fight. He called the media the enemy of the people, while using it to remain the center of every conversation. He promised to drain the swamp, only to fill it with creatures even more grotesque than those who came before. And through it all, his core tactic remained unchanged since childhood: dominate, deceive, discard. He dominated the public sphere with outrageous statements, knowing the media would take the bait. He deceived his base with emotional appeals, never policy, and he discarded anyone, from Michael Cohen to Mike Pence, the moment they ceased to be useful. In Machiavellian terms, Trump is the ultimate prince of illusion, a sovereign who understands that fear and spectacle are more effective than virtue and truth. He is not a leader who builds. He is a mirror held up to a decaying empire, exposing the rot not with reform, but with more rot. Trump's rise and reign were not accidents. They were case studies in opportunistic authoritarianism, designed and perfected since childhood. His life is the embodiment of Machiavelli's most cynical maxim: it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. And while history may one day discard him as a con man in a suit, the real lesson lies deeper. In an age where truth is relative and morality optional, it is not the best who rise, but the boldest.